The U.S. administration is pushing to release $1 billion of weapons aid to Israel. Can you confirm that? And do you have a sense of when that will happen?
Well, I hope it happens soon. Look, I appreciate the help we receive from the United States from the beginning of the war. President Biden came here. He sent also these battle carrier groups, and we got weapons. Yes, we do have a disagreement on Gaza, rather on Rafah. But we have to do what we have to do. And, you know, sometimes you just have to do what is required to ensure your survival in your future. We cannot continue into the future by having Hamas retake Gaza. It's not only would be a tremendous victory for Hamas, it would be a tremendous victory for the Iran terror axis, because Iran is trying to envelop us with a noose of death, of which Hamas is one component. And that victory is a victory against Iran. It's a victory for the moderate Arab states who are not openly, but who understand that their future is involved also with our victory against Hamas. So we are doing what we have to do, and I hope we can see eye to eye with the United States. We're talking to them, but ultimately we do what we have to do to protect the life of our nation and to prevent such savageries from being repeated again and again and again.
Is the U.S. withholding the heavy bombs, the 500-pound, 2,000-pound bombs?
Yeah, so far it has. I think that's out in the public. I hope we can overcome that. But I said, look, I said on Holocaust Remembrance Day, which is just a few days ago, I said, I appreciate the American help, but I can't allow Hamas to threaten us with this mass murder. And indeed, if they could, they would have done exactly what happened to us 80 years ago in the Holocaust. There we were completely defenseless, and they murdered 6 million of our people, a third of the Jewish people in the world. Hamas, if they could get away with it, they would do the same thing. The reason they can't get away with it is we push them back, but we're not going to leave them there. No one would. Would the United States leave an enemy right at its border, not thousands of miles away, but a few hundred yards away from its border, after it committed the equivalent of 20 9/11 massacres on one day, 50,000 Americans killed on one day, 10,000 held hostage by these criminals? I mean, it wouldn't happen. You know the United States wouldn't do it, and we wouldn't do it either. So we have to do what we have to do. And I paraphrase it. A nation's got to do what a nation's got to do. And today we can.
And you can do that without the U.S.?
I'd prefer to do it with the U.S. And I'm doing everything in my power to minimize these disagreements or maybe even come on the same page. But ultimately, when our survival is at stake, we do what we have to do. Ben-Gurion declared the independence of Israel, the first prime minister, when there was an American arms embargo. Secretary of State Marshall opposed the Declaration of Independence of Israel, but we did it. In 1991, Prime Minister Menachem Begin went ahead and destroyed Osirak's, that is Saddam Hussein's atomic bomb factory in Osirak. And President Reagan, a great friend of Israel, slapped an arms embargo on us. He withheld fighter jets for 3 months. But everybody today recognizes that Ben-Gurion did the right thing. Reagan, or rather Ben-Gurion, Menachem Begin did the right thing. And I think over time people will recognize that we're doing the right thing because we can't leave this terrorist army intact. It would be the equivalent of the Allies coming into Germany after Hitler did his atrocities. They destroy 80% of the German army, and then they'd stop and they say, well, we'll leave 20% in place and we won't go into Berlin. Does that make sense? Of course not. So the same thing is true of what we're trying to do, and I hope we can come to an agreement with the United States. But in any case, we'll do what we have to do. And if necessary, we'll fight with what we have.